Welcome back, everybody. Episode 103 of the Light Warriors Unleashed podcast. And I apologize in the beginning parts of the podcast episode already, but I'm like, I totally messed up last week of like not even recording anything. And it completely left my awareness until after like the weekend. And I explained it all in the podcast. So I won't tell you the story again, but I just want to say, I'm like, I get it. I know. I was floating around in some ethers of dimensional energies, and it's absolutely perfect for what I'm going through and all the things, and even the conversation we're going to have today. Today's conversation is about coming home, and it's about really remembering who we are and why we're here, and the aspect to what we're being called into at this moment of time in the world. And it's a powerful energy these days, a powerful energy in both ways of expanding and a powerful energy of contraction, depending on what side of the spectrum you're on. So I love that I get to do this. I love that you're here. Thank you for listening. And I hope you enjoy the podcast. And I'm just going to ask you at the beginning, before we even get going, is like, if you love it, snip a like section of this and tag me on Instagram. Let me know that you're listening. Give us a review, help spread the word, send it to a friend, share the link out, whatever you're being called to do, because this podcast is meant for everybody. And the more people that get to know it, and the more people that get to hear it, the more people that get to experience it. And I just am so grateful for all of you that keep showing up every week and that you're here and that you do this naturally. I'm just asking for a bigger reach now to be able to get it out into the world for more people to see it. So I love you guys, and I love that you are listening, and I love that you're on this movement with me, and I'm just really grateful. So without further ado, episode 103, Light Warriors Unleashed podcast. Oh my God. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Light Warriors Unleashed podcast. Firstly, I want to kind of speak into something. I completely forgot to record an episode last week. I was in a move, like literally Friday was packing all day. Thursday was in an energy field, and Saturday moved, and just completely forgot to even consider launching a podcast. And even this evening, so it's Thursday night, the podcast goes out on Fridays. I was like, okay, I know I got to get this masterclass stuff kind of aligned, and I'm like, oh shit, I need to get a podcast recorded. And there's some things in the field sometimes where it's like, are we avoiding it? Is this just out of alignment now? Is this not a thing anymore in my world? And what's so funny is earlier this week, I was thinking about and considering to be like, should I put the podcast on hold for a bit just while I recoup and regain some momentum in life and get like really lean back in? And I've had some disruptions energetically at the beginning part of this week where there was too much frequency in this house that it literally took out my whole entire like physical system. And I'm still coming back into the space. You might hear me cough a couple times in this episode because I'm still like moving an energy through inside of the space of everything. But I was like, am I supposed to be doing this still? Like, is this still a thing in my world? And then I get a message from a friend who's like, I really need just to say to you, on a certain day of the week, I do this certain activity and I listen to podcasts while I do it. And every single week, your podcast is in my ear. And I'm like, okay, universe, thank you for the message and the reminder and the sign that this was a thing. But I'm showing up for you guys here on Thursday night. So those of you guys watching or listening to the audio, you will probably hear my voice transition a bit tonight. Those of you guys watching on video, I'm here in real form. No makeup, no filters, just straight up. Here we are inside the space of things. And I had no idea, even walking up the stairs to come into my new office. So I have an office now in this house. I have a 3-bedroom place. This room is my office, and it's completely changed the game for me this week. Like when I come up to the office, it's like we're in a zone. We're in the office space. This is what we're doing. We're moving through an energy. We're all here in the office. And the pups are up here with me right now because I do not trust them to be by themselves in this house. So it's either the crate or they're with me. And that's what's happening. Or they're outside playing, but it's pouring rain and it's 7 p.m. at night. They're not going outside on their own, especially with all of the reptilians or amphibians, is that the name of them, that are in this yard. I have a massive amount of toads and frogs in this yard at night because we're literally super close to the river. Even though I have concrete walls that are 8 feet tall, how they're getting in, there's a pathway for them somewhere. I'm working on this inside the space, but yeah, they definitely don't go outside, especially when I'm recording a podcast for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or whatever amount of length this is going to be. they won't be outside. But I was literally walking up the stairs and we were coming up here to record this. And I was like, what am I even talking about? All week I've been talking about frequencies and vibration and energy. I'm in the middle of my vibration program and teaching that. And I'm like, what is this space? I'm talking about our protection of energy and all this stuff. And I'm like, that's not it for this podcast episode. And I literally sat down, got Zoom up. Actually, the internet went out first, and then I had to like reset all the modems and everything because I was like, is this another sign I shouldn't be recording my podcast? And I'm like, fuck that. We've got work to do tonight. This isn't happening. How do I take control of this situation? Because it was a human decision and choice. Like I could have self-sabotaged the fuck out of it and decided not to and not stepped in. Or I could go, I have a solution, go do the solution and see what happens. And the internet came back on, and here we are. And I literally sat down and I put my earplugs in, finally got Zoom back up, sat in the space of stuff, and I went, what am I doing? What am I doing? And all I kept hearing was, it's time to come home. And I went, oh, it's time to come home. Yes. Let me tell you guys a story. So I moved into this new place on Saturday. There's a couple of transitions to make here, super fucking electronically charged. Okay, I come from a house that had one air conditioner, one Wi-Fi, a fridge that pushed out quite a bit of energy, a stove, microwave was unplugged, the washer and dryer were outside, and then just the small little things that are around the house, that you plug in and plug out or whatever it is. That's it. I come into Fort Knox that has an electrical fence on top of the actual cement fence, an alarm, security cameras, 2 Wi-Fi extenders plus the Wi-Fi, and all of them have 5G. Microwave, which I unplugged. The washer and dryer is still outside, but still lots of energy in the space of things. Brand new fridge, brand new stove, air conditioners in every single room. And it was like my body got fried. However, as I dealt with that energy moving through the weekend, Saturday we moved the stuff in. I unpacked the kitchen because I was like, that's all the energy I have. I was done. Like I was tired. The last few weeks for me have been draining as fuck. And I still hold space for clients. I still hold space for programs. I still step up into the space. But when I'm not in that mode and when I'm not in that space, I feel like I'm getting kicked around. I feel like I'm in major life lessons, and I am. I feel like some days at the gym, it's like I can't hold the energy. So I'm just following what's showing up in the space of things. And Saturday night, I go to start cooking dinner because I have to cook dinner for my pups. Like they eat human food and they eat cooked human food. They do eat raw bones. They eat raw chicken wings once a week because they need bone content in their diet. Whenever I cook ground beef, I give them some ground beef raw, but they mostly eat cooked food. And I needed to cook food for our dinner. And I was like, okay. So the first thing that showed back up in my world is like, you need to put some music on. So I don't know if you guys remember the story, if I ever told it on the podcast, but like maybe 2 months ago, I saw a guy make a post on Facebook that he had these things for sale. And I ended up getting my machetes. Like I got 3 machetes from him, and I got this wireless speaker that I never use. And it's like a big speaker and it's wireless. And I'm like, I don't even know how to fucking work this thing. Obviously, I figured it out, but I was like, we're putting that on. Fucking pumped up the music, started cooking, and I started dropping into like a dance party while I'm cooking and moving energy through. And I'm like, I haven't felt this vibe in my field in a long time. Like, yeah, I've listened to music here and there, but like for me, there was a self-expression missing over the last 6 months of my life, or maybe even 8 months of my life, that I haven't honored in the space of things. I've been going through a rebirthing process, which I've spoken about openly. I went through a ton of grief with relationships in my world. I've, been in this space of like figuring out some shit and really deciding what I want and desire for my life to move forward. And, I had clarity before, but I'm like, I've been challenged to get so fucking clear about certain aspects and to believe that to be true, that it's like, I cannot deny the things that are dropping in any longer and the things that are moving through. I just can't. Like I'm like in this space and dismantling all the stuff. Like it's just like I'm being called forward into like this potency. My body's being called forward into new levels. my mind with information and learning and stepping up in, and my energy is so fucking potent these days. My channeling abilities, my ability to serve in the space of service and everything. And I've needed to go through all the dynamics pretty much over the last year. So in a month's time, it'll be 1 year since I got robbed at the old place that I stayed at, the first house I ever lived in Costa Rica. And literally the fucking most ironic shit ever is that from this house, I can actually see that property. It's actually fucking hilarious if you think about how things come around and how things move. Like in October of this year, it'll be 2 years since I've been in Costa Rica. And I'm like, wow, just feeling all of this. So there was this year, literally, or this 11 months of calendar time needed to happen in the growth of my expansion, for me to see the things, for me to release the things, for people to dismantle, for people to come in, for new levels to move through. The clients I'm working with these days are like blowing my mind in how they're moving through my world and how things are showing up in my life and how things are maneuvering forward. It's like, I can't even begin to tell you what this feels like. The frequency is elevated. We're matching and getting each other. Like, I don't even have to communicate and they understand. Like, they're moving through. People are making shifts and changes in their world. And I'm watching this blow my fucking top off. But when this energy of coming home came through tonight, I went, this feels so potent for us as humanity. Because what is transpiring in the world right now is this massive energy of separation. And we're being called into the timelines that we're choosing to work within. We've got to do work to hold our vibration, to hold frequency and calibration and what we desire. We've got to do the work. We've got to do the shadow work, the inner child work, the I'm not worthy work, all the work, protection energies, clearing protocols, watching our spaces, not taking stuff for granted like we used to. We've got to do the work to hold this. But when we do, we can hold it. If we're not doing the work, we're floating over into this other timeline that's now creating a massive separation in the world and will for the next few years. And it's going to be harder to move out of this, to get over to the other side, if you consistently are playing over in this field. So when I say to you the energy of coming home, and it's time to come home, it's time to come home. It's time for us to remember a few things. Our divine coding. Guys, we have everything we need inside of us. Everything we need inside of us. We've just forgotten. It's time to remember this. It's time to step up into this. It's time for us to move this through. It's time for this to come out into the world. It's time. This divine coding was literally imprinted in our DNA structure. And it's been here over lifetime and lifetime and lifetime. And some lifetimes we've done some stuff with it, and other times we've completely avoided it. And now we're being called forward now to come back home, to shift the energy of humanity, to shift our own lives, to live in the purity of the light. Some of us have fucking shit stories. We've gone through so much stuff in our world. And if we look back, we're like, fuck. Yeah, fuck. However, it's time to maneuver this forward. It's time for us to make a decision to be in this space, for us to actually live here. That's the coming home. The next thing is dropping into our hearts to live life through here. You've heard me say it all over the place. If you have ever participated in any aspect of my world, meaning masterclasses, you've watched YouTube videos, other videos I've done other than podcasts, you've been one-to-one with me, you've done work in some capacity. I say this all the time, but when we come home, we live here. We don't let the worry and the doubt and all the fucking cloudedness of our mind dictate our life any longer. We drop in here, right here into this energy space, right here into this portal way. And when we come home, we open this up. And we allow people to see us, and we allow things to happen, and we allow ourselves to be seen. Number 3, coming home means showing up in the full version of you, owning your duality, owning all the aspects of your life, owning this dynamic avenue of who you are. and allowing yourself to be in that, allowing yourself to move through that, allowing yourself to be seen. When we come home, it doesn't matter what our mom says or our neighbor says or the girl next door to us that lived next door when we were 5 years old who still follows you on Facebook. It doesn't matter what they have to say. All that matters is that you're showing up in your potency of light. And if you do that, then everything else changes. Coming home is honoring you, all of you. What does that look like? What does that feel like? How does it show up in the world? I'm like, I'm coming back to life here in this office alone. I'm like, okay, I've lived in a one pretty much bedroom apartment, we'll call it, for the last 6 months of my life. I had another bedroom that was like storage. There's no air in it, no airflow, super stagnant, wouldn't put an office in it at all. It just wouldn't suit the energy of it. Plus the window faces the sun most of the day. It's like fucking scorching hot in that space. It just didn't feel aligned, right? At all. So I mostly did my work from outside on the patio or in the kitchen. And that's where I did my work. Like some of the videos you guys have seen was me on my couch doing stuff. But when I got here and I sat into this space, I was like, I need some stuff now. I need some more diffusers in this house. I desire to have that energy moving through. I need some more incense holders, or at least one, but my dog ate one. The one I got in Guatemala, I was like, thanks for eating one of my tokens from Guatemala, Claire. Super excited. After you ate the fucking flute I bought in Guatemala, that didn't really even work anyways, so it's okay that he ate it. But I was like, my dogs like wood. They've actually been so good in this house because I'm on them. This isn't happening here. It's a brand new build. We are not chewing shit up in this house. Like that is not a thing. And that is not happening as he's passed out on the couch right now. And I'm like, but the parts of me that I've been limiting, like the storage of stuff that I've kept in boxes for 6 months that I haven't even looked at. Like my essential oil collection, even though most of them got stolen back a year ago, I still had some randomly around. I probably still have 30 bottles of essential oils. And I'm like, I want and desire, like I have 2 of them right here because of the fact I have my small mini travel diffuser in this office. And I want to be in the energy I desire. Like today when I was making dinner, I had 90s hip hop on and I was fucking rocking it, cooking ground beef in my kitchen. Clark doesn't really like it when I play music and I sing and dance. I don't give a shit. So I made a reel that's going out tomorrow in the space of it with a 90s hip hop, Feel So Good with Mace. And Clark comes in and he's dancing sort of with me and trying to bite me and stuff. And it's going to be fucking perfect because I'm going to talk about living our life in joy and coming back home to who we really are as people. Apparently, that's what the reel is about, even though I recorded it 2 hours ago and didn't tap into that until this moment of time. And that's the thing, guys. When we lead in our intuition and we follow the calling and we trust it and we drop into it and we play within it and we move within it and we vibrate in it, things open up. Things play in our awareness and our field. They allow us to show up in the space of who we really are. And most of us have been still hiding and we're pretending like it's okay. We're pretending like, oh yeah, well, next week I'll, sign up for that class, or next week maybe I'll, reach out to that person that I desire to kind of hang out with, or maybe next week I'll do the, guys, life is going by so fast. And the more we delay the things that bring us pleasure and desire, the more we're changing timelines and moving towards the things that we don't want. Because we're telling the universe our pleasures and desires that vibrate at high quality vibrations in the world are not really where we want to play, because our actions are showing the universe that that isn't true, that we want to play over here in scarcity and loneliness and lack and blah, 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 and procrastination. That's where we want to play. Do you really want to play there? I've been in this battle with my own self for the last 2 weeks. Guys, I'm still battling about breaking a 13-year cycle that came into my awareness a couple weeks ago. And I'm like, fuck. And I'm like, it's dominant. And I'm like, okay, if you answer this message like this, you're staying in the cycle. But if you answer it like this, you're changing the cycle. And I'm like, holy shit. It is minute to minute in my world right now. And I'm okay with that because I know what it means in the long run. I know what it means to break this cycle. It means I'm liberated. So I will watch how I show up in this energy, how I move through it, how I connect into it, how I maneuver this energy through. I'm like, what is the truth? What is the truth? Am I running? I'm not running. You are not fucking running from this because we are not doing this one again. So I keep saying to myself, this is a fucking feat. And when I sit up here on my hoity-toity office chair, over here in my second story Costa Rican home that is not like second floor, second story homes in this country is not a thing. Like if you look anywhere in this community, either than behind me in this kind of built up kind of shack that's behind me, there's not a lot of second stories. There's like sea cans built on each other, but second story homes, there isn't a lot. So I'm already up here on my hoity-toity princess second story office that is unheard of here pretty much in this area, sitting on my office chair throne over here going, I get you. I get you. I really do. I understand that coming home is fucking hard, that doing the work is hard, that having the courage to say what you really mean and to let go of ties is hard. One day I will do a podcast fully on my twin flame journey. The book will come out. It's supposed to be written here this year. I know it. I know where I'm supposed to sit. I'm supposed to get this certain couch for the actual patio that's going to work in like an L shape. And I will go out there a couple times a week for hours and type and write and dictate this whole entire book. And it is going to be fucking funny, and it's going to be aligned, and it's going to be deep, and it's going to be dark, and it's going to be true. And I'm going to write all of it from the place of pure raw vulnerability and owning all the parts of me in this. And a lot of you are going to be shocked when you read this book as to who Colleen used to be and how much she's shifted and changed in her life. And I want to say to you that I am a byproduct of the work. And every day I step in more and more to this experience, and I cannot teach it if I haven't integrated it. And when we come up against disassociation in the collective or disturbance in our fields or mentors that are not owning their authenticity, they haven't done the work. I am knee deep in the trenches with my people. Like I'm talking about knee deep. And some of them I'm 2 steps ahead and others I'm 500 steps ahead. It doesn't matter. I am knee deep in my shit. And I look at it every fucking day. And some days I'm like, we got the fucking shit covered. It's good. It's done. Fucking something came in and washed it all away. And then I hit a new level and here we go again. And does it get easier? Yeah, it does. But this is a reminder that we are coming home to our deep-rooted connections, to our vibrational codings, to our talents and skill sets and spiritual gifts in the world, to how we're meant to live, to how your life was already positioned before you got here. You chose it already. You chose the circumstances that would inhibit you from getting there unless you did the work to be able to step in. And your soul was like, fuck, I'm going to do the work. Your human's like, I don't want to do the work. I don't want to. It's too hard. It's too hard. Girl, man, you fucking can do this. Your soul chose this experience. And yeah, some days it fucking sucks balls. Okay, I get it. It sucks balls. And not in a good way of sucking balls. Okay, it just sucks balls. And we're at that space in time, though, that we're being called back home to the purity of your light, to what's important, to your value systems, to dismantling the beliefs that have been limiting you for lifetimes, and for you to step up into the space to take ownership of your life. And in these small moments of saying yes, in the small moments of speaking your truth, in the small moments of unfollowing someone, in the small moments of creating a boundary, and the small moments of letting go, which we know are all big moments. But what if you just took one small step in those directions? That's an imprint that creates a ripple effect that makes it easier for the next step and the next step and the next step and the next step. But your job is to fucking step in. And that's where we're at. And that's what's moving through the field. And that's what's in the space of things. And that's what the swallowing a pill does for you. We fucking got to swallow it back and it's time to go. Here it is. You know, and it's like, shit. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Fine. If that's what we're doing. I listened to one of the songs on the album that I created, one of the rough copies of the songs on the album. There'll only be one single that's going to get released from that. Everything else needs to be re-recorded. All the energy's off and everything. And I could hear, we recorded that in October, November of 2023. And I could hear the version of me then. And that's not that long ago. But I went, wow, so much has happened. So much has happened. And I was still running from parts of my life then. I was still not speaking into certain things, and I was still avoiding doing the work in that some aspects of the department of my world. And I've done a lot of work, guys, oh my God, a lot of work. And it's like, it never ends, but it just gets easier, really. Or you get more awareness on it, more tools, more things to know, and your warrior backpack keeps getting plugged in, let's say. And it expands and it moves with you and it moves through you. And it's like this juicy flow. And when stuff happens now, you just fucking laugh and you're like, all right, I see you. I see you. I see you. And so that's where we are. I feel like I'm complete for this episode of the podcast. And you know what's even fucking more funny? I don't even know what episode this is. I think it's 103. But before I do the intro, because I always do the intro after, I better go look. Because I'm like, I don't even know. Like, I'm just here. And I want to tell you that that's okay. That is actually the most perfect place that I could be. No expectations, no script, nothing centered. And none of these podcasts has ever been scripted, ever. I have an idea, I drop in and I just talk. And then when I'm done talking, I'm like, okay, we're done for the episode. But today it even feels a lot more powerful because I just am with you. And I always am. But it feels different today. And I smile and I just honor. I think I'm going to have to put an actual note in my calendar because I feel like I'm going to be floating a lot of the next few weeks that says record your podcast. Because I'm like, oh yeah, this is a thing in my world to ground into. And I have the space to do it. When I go back to Canada in October for a couple of weeks, I'm going to buy a microphone that I want and get this set up here because I can set it up. And I may get like a cool podcasting corner. See what happens. We'll see how I feel about life. But I could put it right here in this bookshelf. It would actually look really fucking cool right here. I could take out this like closet connecting thing because there's no clothes in this room and move it up and then literally create this like corner as like the podcasting corner and like have me seated like right there in this like little nook, which would be actually really fucking cool because like beside it is all my books and my drums and my like rattles and instruments. And it would look really fucking amazing on camera. But just putting that out into the world, right? Like, it's just like, what's possible? How about I leave you with that? What is possible in your life? I want to say one thing before we pop off. Inside of the show notes today, you're going to see a link to a free masterclass I'm teaching called Catalyst. It's happening in the middle of August, a 5-day live experience. Now, if you're listening to this past the date, it's like August 14th, I think it starts. That link will still be active whenever you listen to this podcast. So I'm going to highly encourage you guys, if you are really desiring some spiritual expansion to move energy through, to accelerate some stuff in your world when it comes to your spiritual path, this program, this masterclass, this free masterclass experience is going to blow your top off. And I'm going to highly encourage you guys to register for it. So the link is in the show notes. It launches literally when this podcast episode launches into the world on July 26th. It's some of the work I still have to do tonight. And I'm like, yay for me. But that's okay. I am so in for all of this, whatever this means. And I'm just really grateful. I'm grateful I have this platform. I'm grateful we're over 100 episodes. I'm grateful that you're here listening. I'm grateful for it all. So again, let's move it back. What is possible in your life? And let me leave this episode with you that way. And I will see you guys all again in the next episode.